Hello and welcome to the NutriPsych podcast, where I give you bite-sized practical tips and advice on how to go from yo-yo dieting, emotional eating, and binge eating to achieving permanent weight loss results without counting calories, cutting out your favorite foods, or spending hours at the gym. My name is Helen and I'm a qualified nutrition consultant. After spending more than a decade and hundreds of pounds on diets, feeling ashamed and embarrassed about my body, losing and gaining the same weight like it was my job, I finally cracked the code to permanent weight loss results and lost more than 25 kilograms and kept it off. Now, it's become my mission to help you do the same so that you can say goodbye to yo-yo dieting, emotional eating, constant snacking, nighttime eating, and binge eating, all without feeling starved or deprived. If that sounds like something you are interested in, let's dive in. Hey, it's Helen. Thank you so much for tuning in again. Today, we are talking all about one simple step that will help you stop overeating and finally lose weight for good. If you struggle with any form of overeating, especially in the evening, constantly snacking throughout the day, picking at food, emotional eating, habitual or boredom eating, or even binge eating, definitely listen on. Because this step is so simple yet so important. It takes less than 5 minutes to do, and yet so many people aren't doing it. If you haven't yet listened to the episode about the 320 structure and why it's important, or if you haven't downloaded the free guide that builds the foundation of permanent weight loss, then please hit pause and download the guide. Head to helenwong.co.uk/nutrition resources. Simply create a free account and you'll have access. This episode builds on the 320 structure, which stands for 3 meals and 2 snacks, nothing else, no guilt and no restriction. And this is also the foundation of the Stop Binge Eating program, as well as all my work with clients. So this simple step that a lot of people are missing is planning in advance. A lot of people think the reason they overeat at night is that they don't have willpower. Failing to plan is planning to fail, right? During the day, we have to make so many decisions, big or small. Some of those decisions you might not even be aware that you are making them. And by the end of the day, we've already got to that stage of decision fatigue. And it's so much harder to make decisions that support our ultimate goal, sticking to our diet and lose weight. More willpower is something we are always looking for, whether it's the leftover birthday cake in the fridge or the tub of ice cream in the freezer at home. There's always temptation everywhere. And too often, when we go to tap into our willpower to help us say no, it's nowhere to be found. One of the reasons that we are so vulnerable to making poor food choices at night is because we've depleted our willpower tank by making hundreds of choices, big or small, throughout the day. By the time evening comes, we have no willpower left, which is why it feels so much harder at night to make a good choice. If you wait until then to make a decision, you are almost always going to lose. Instead, sit down ahead of time and create a very specific plan for what you are going to do when you encounter overeating triggers in advance. Our primal brain is responsible for our survival, making decisions that would keep us alive. The primal brain seeks instant gratification and finds pleasure in the moment. The primal brain prefers habits because being in the comfort zone is safe. And food is one of those essentials that keep us alive. We make decisions using our primal brain most of the time because that's like our natural instinct. However, there's also this part of the brain that's called the prefrontal cortex, and this part of the brain is more logic-oriented and can see your goals, long-term consequences, and all that good stuff. An important thing to understand about your brain's reward system is that it did not evolve to respond to future rewards. The dopamine receptors in your brain do not light up as brightly when you think about a donut you are going to have tomorrow as they do when there's a donut sitting right in front of you right now. This is because from an evolutionary standpoint, a reward that is far away is irrelevant to your daily survival. For this reason, neuroscientists have found that the longer you have to wait for a reward, the less it's worth to you. They call this principle delay discounting, and have discovered that even a small delay can dramatically lower the perceived value for us. As soon as there is any distance between you and the source of temptation, the power shifts from your brain's reward center back to its self-control system, making it much easier to make a healthy choice. So, when a temptation arises and that brownie is just screaming at you to eat it, and you can't think of anything else, do this. Tell yourself that you will have the brownie. You're just going to have to wait 30 minutes from now. This will calm the screaming in your head because you've made the decision to have the brownie and you know you can have it. But by delaying the eating of it, you are taking the power away from the reward center of the brain and giving it back to the self-control center, thereby dramatically increasing the odds that you'll stay on track. What I'm trying to say is, when you plan things, you're using your prefrontal cortex, which can help you see what you need to do to get to your goals. Because as I said, in the very moment, you won't be able to make decisions that support your ultimate goals. It's a lot easier to follow a plan than to make decisions that you'll be happy about. So it's always a good idea to create some space between the moment you decide and the moment you act. Now, I'm not saying you can't have snacks. I still believe having 3 meals and 2 snacks is a very important first step. But to prevent one snack turning into a binge, which happens for many people, or maybe one snack turning into a whole evening of overeating or mindless eating, I want you to do some planning just to create that space between the moment you decide and the moment you act. So when you make your plan, make sure that it's realistic. I hear people say that they eat broccoli and chicken breast for dinner, or even salads and veggies all day, but then at night they lose control. That's because their plan isn't realistic. It's simply unsustainable. Are you willing to just eat broccoli and chicken breast for the rest of your life? The answer is likely no. A lot of people keep dreaming about how they can get rid of the weight as soon as possible so that they can get back to normal eating once the diet's finished. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work like that. You have to learn to eat everything in moderation. Eat in a way that you intend to keep off the weight. As I said, your brain likes safety and habits, so suddenly switching from this very restrictive mindset to being able to choose is just a recipe for disaster, because you haven't learned the skill of moderation, and because you'll lose control once you have the freedom back and the food you love is no longer off limits. And the second reason people fall off track, especially in the evening, is that the food they choose to eat during the day may be healthy from a nutritional standpoint, but they are not nourishing, as in your brain doesn't get any satisfaction at all. It doesn't make you happy. You aren't enjoying the food that much, so you turn to snacks to satisfy yourself. So when you make your plan, you need to make sure you include both physically and mentally nourishing food. Food that is great for you, and food that you love and enjoy eating. So my action task for you today is I want you to make a realistic plan with 3 meals and 2 snacks that are nourishing for both your mind and your body. Let me tell you an example of my client Sarah. She's given me the permission to share this. When she first came to work with me, she was overeating every night. When we first started working together, she was terrified of the idea of 3 meals and 2 snacks. Before she came to work with me, She was eating just salads and chicken breast during the day. But then after dinner, she was eating crisps, chocolate, brownies, cakes, and biscuits throughout the evening. After some digging, she realized she thought she had to eat healthy to lose weight because that's what she reads on social media. But she wasn't enjoying the process. She hated that she couldn't eat the food that she loved. So as soon as she broke her diet in the evening, it would be non-stop eating throughout the rest of the evening, hoping that the next day would be better. After the realization, we worked together on a plan to make her meals and snacks more nourishing throughout the day. And just 1 week, she was feeling satisfied, happy, and we got the overeating under control, and she started losing weight gradually. So today, I want you to take 5 minutes to make your plan for tomorrow, looking for potential challenges in your day that might cause you to overeat. Then, I want you to come up with a prevention strategies for the triggers that you come across all the time, and make sure that your meals and snacks are both mentally and physically nourishing. Feeling satisfied is so important for preventing overeating, because from almost all the messages that I receive back from you guys, overeating happens in the evening. So that's it from me for today. I hope you found this episode helpful. As mentioned, if you haven't downloaded the free 320 guide, which comes with a daily checklist and more tips on how to lose weight in a sustainable way and keep it off, make sure you head to helenwong.co.uk/nutrition resources. Simply create a free account and you'll be able to access this free guide. There you'll also be able to find other resources that will be useful in your weight loss journey. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Dive into the show notes for this episode at helenwong.co.uk/nutrition resources. If you've enjoyed this episode of the NutriSide podcast, I invite you to check out the Stop Binge Eating program, which gives you access to a proven step-by-step roadmap with key strategies and skills that guide you from struggling with yo-yo dieting, emotional eating, and binge eating to achieving permanent weight loss. Check out the Stop Binge Eating program at helenwong.co.uk/SBEP.